Hey everyone, as you might have noticed throughout several videos I've been in, I have quite an extensive collection of blasters on my back wall, and they all do all sorts of things. Some of them snipe, some of them are automatic, and some throw discs. Hello everyone and welcome to our Retired Review. Today we're taking a look at set number 8523, Blaster. The set was released in 2000, contains approximately 88 pieces, and during time of release was about $15. Alright everyone, we're here. The last Slizer. Before I begin, the disclaimer, I am a Bionicle fan, and as such my opinions of these sets are through the lens of a Bionicle fan. Additionally, they are all my opinion. I'm not trying to be an aggregate this time. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and begin. Right out the gate, this guy is one of two large Slizers, the other obviously being Millennium. And between the two, I'll say it right now, I like this one more. This one is my favorite between the two big guns, the two big Slizers. And let's go ahead and get into why. Starting off with the build is quite imposing. He's quite a large figure. I actually like the color scheme as well. Black and yellow, again, nothing objectionable there. He has a little bit of dark gray kind of sprinkled in, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, no, build-wise, I think he's interesting. My main issue with this set, as far as the build is concerned, is twofold. One, it's a little gappy. Now, that's not a major deterrent. I'm not even talking about the legs. I'm talking about the gaps in his torso. It looks a little almost unfinished, uncovered, and part of that is mostly okay, because you should have his disc, his second disc, in the middle of his torso. The other issue I have is with his feet. Now, I actually think the build on this is actually really clever all around. The only issue, of course, being his ankles. They're very loose, and that makes posing him or keeping him upright a little bit of a chore. Not a challenge, just a chore. Other than that, though, I think that this is actually a really creative-looking Slizer. The legs are actually kind of fun to look at because they're made of other Slizer limbs. He looks like a composite of a bunch of different Slizers. So on the surface, I really think that's kind of a cool look for him. Again, he's quite tall and imposing, and despite that, he has all the same functions. The first, obviously, being his gear function. Most all of them have that. You can turn the gear on his back, and at least the head will move up or down. And of course, on one hand, he has two disc-throwing arms. Now, these are a little bit of a pill to use because they don't really have anything to click into. I mean, they do click in to the pieces on his hand. However, those are on an arm, which is a joint. So those will move around, and you got to be very careful about how you hold it. But disc in, pull back, and you should be fine. Another thing I find a tad perplexing are actually his arms. I do find this whole two-arm thing to be really awkward. However, that's not my main grievance. It's how the arms are attached. There is a little bit of mobility in how they are put on his torso, though they're easily loosened over time. And I'm not sure this was a wise design choice way back when, because there's not a whole lot of future-proofing involved in this specific design aspect. The legs will survive. They have so many different points of connection in the joints where they can probably survive no issue, but the arms, they're a little loosey-goosey. So that is an issue I do have. To briefly go over it, we have two discs. One being, of course, Millennium Slizer himself, obviously this time on a yellow disc, and the other one being a bunch of Slizers. I think this is when they get mutated and kind of merge. I'm not sure, though, so don't quote me on that. But this one is a black one, and this is what's advertised as going on his torso in the center. And speaking of that, I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it's a clever way to get the other disc on the actual set, and it's also a really clever way to cover up that huge weird gap in the middle of his torso. So I'm actually partial to it. However, at the same time, I'm not fond of the use of rubber bands to keep something in place. In my opinion, that piece is now floating and can easily come loose from the rubber band. Some Bionicle combo models do this, and I'm critical of that there too. I just don't feel like there's an actual connection there. it isn't well designed. The rubber band is just being used to keep it in place as a kinda, well, we could probably think of something else, but we're just gonna go with this for now and hope it works out. Additionally, rubber bands dry out very easily, especially if you live in a dusty area. So you're often gonna find yourself replacing them. Not a big fan of how that is being done, and I really wish I had done it some other way. Overall, I like Blaster. He's a little rough around the edges, though at the same time, his competition is Millennium Slizer, which I wasn't too partial toward. I do feel like this is a good Slizer Titan. It feels a little roughshod, it feels almost like a combination model. However, I like it. I think that it has some charm to it. I like the color scheme, and I like some of the design choices that were done for this set. So would I recommend it? I'm hesitant to say that. I'll say if you have an opportunity to, and you're partial to the set itself, certainly, though I don't think you need to go out of your way by any means in order to get this set. And that about does it. Those have been the Slizers. Tell me what you think in the comments below or on the message boards, TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. So what now, you might ask? Well, now I'm going to go over the combo models. There aren't that many, and this is a fine enough opportunity, so I may as well. So join me next time when I go over these Slizer combo models. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and farewell.